You are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis delivered a 7-point speech on Thursday after exchanging traditional Christmas greetings with the Roman Curia. He urged them to never take the Lord's graces for granted, to always follow a path of conversion and to be peacemakers. He added, each of us is called to return to what is necessary for our own lives, to reject all that is extraneous and a potential impediment on the path to holiness. The birth of Jesus in a poor manger is a lesson in seeing things as they are. The Pope continued by urging gratitude, which he defined as the most crucial inner attitude. The Holy Father also spoke to Vatican employees and their families, encouraging them to be artisans of peace, beginning with their own homes and places of employment. The Pope began his remarks by saying that we should all be thankful to God for his assistance in helping us to get through the COVID-19 pandemic. A prayer vigil for peace in Ukraine was led at the Basilica of Saint Nicholas in the Italian town of Bari by Cardinal Matteo Maria Zuppi, Metropolitan Archbishop of Bologna and the President of the Italian Episcopate. The vigil was held with the participation of the Archdiocese of Bari-Bitonto. The Cardinal said in a stern warning that St. Nicholas cannot justify and bless him who raises his hands against his brother. His Eminence added that with St. Nicholas, we beg for the gift of peace. The prelate said attempts for peace in the Mediterranean and the Middle East have taken place in Bari, which he termed a bridge city of dialogue. He added that Pope Francis wants to make a powerful appeal from the city so that everyone can get above the logic of conflict, anger and retaliation. Following a decision by the High Court, a teacher who had been imprisoned for disobeying a court order has been freed in Ireland. Enoch Burke was sentenced to prison in September for violating a court order that forbids him from going to the school where he teaches. Wilson's Hospital School in County Westmeath took action against him for objecting to call a child who's transitioning genders by preferred pronouns. The authorities took legal action after Burke reported for duty in spite of being placed under suspension. The initial injunction was then issued by the High Court, but Mr. Burke was imprisoned at Mountjoy Prison in Dublin after violating it. Justice Brian O'Moore said the only threat to Mr. Burke's liberty would be if he violated a High Court order. The Nigerian Diocese of Umuahia is requesting prayers for the safe release of Father Christopher Ogide, who was kidnapped on December the 17th from his parish. The Chancellor of the Diocese, Father Henry Makuda, released a statement on Monday, December the 19th, detailing the kidnapping of the priest, who is vicar of St. Maria Assumpta Parish in the diocese. The statement read, "The tragic incident occurred on Saturday, December the 17th, at the entrance gate of the parish home, while Father Ogide was driving out to buy fuel. The kidnappers have not yet made contact with the diocese." In the statement, the Chancellor supported the prayer request made by the local ordinary, Bishop Michael Kalu Ukpong. The Chaldean Patriarch, Cardinal Louis Raphael Sako, has noted that this year's Christmas falls during a time when the world is suffering from crises, such as the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, as well as injustices in many parts of the Middle East, including Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine and Yemen. While delivering the homily during Holy Mass, the Cardinal paid attention to minorities who are increasingly persecuted and vulnerable to violence, as well as those who have been forced to flee their homes because of conflicts. The Cardinal said that the continual presence of God in our midst is everlasting in love and mercy and teaches faith through the birth of Christ. Christmas is more than just a cultural holiday marked by decorations, presents and visits to family members. He concluded by saying that Christmas tells us that God is always with us. 5 women who were participating in a demonstration against the prohibition on women attending universities in the Afghan capital of Kabul have been detained by the Taliban. 3 journalists were also arrested. It is believed that protests occurred in the Takhar province also. A day after the ban was issued, guards barred hundreds of women from visiting campuses on Wednesday. This regulation is the latest to limit women's access to higher education in the country. Most secondary schools already do not accept girls. The Higher Education Minister announced a new prohibition on Tuesday, and public and private universities have been instructed to exclude women from enrolling. Neda Mohammed Nadine, the Taliban's Minister of Higher Education, claimed on state television that women were prohibited from attending universities because they did not adhere to the dress code. Scotland has approved a self-identification system for people who want to change their legal gender. The new rules lower the age that people can apply for a gender recognition certificate to 16 and removes the need for a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria. It is the only nation in the United Kingdom to simplify the process of transitioning. But the Westminster UK government says it has concerns about the legislation and could yet prevent it from becoming law. In a vote on Thursday afternoon, the Scottish Parliament voted by 86 to 39 in favour of the plans. The UK government claims it has reservations about the proposed legislation and may try to stop it from receiving royal assent. Parents in Wales who oppose the teaching of young children about gender identity and sex in primary schools have lost the legal battle. The Welsh Government's new relationships and sexuality education curriculum was challenged in court by activists. It was introduced in September and mandates that pupils begin learning about these subjects at the age of 3. Although the legal argument was dismissed, the claimants intend to appeal. The claimants are 5 Welsh parents with school-aged children who objected to the subjects being taught to their children for religious or philosophical reasons. Mrs. Justice Stein remarked, "Teaching should be neutral from a religious perspective, but it doesn't need to be value neutral." According to the court, the decision to make RSE mandatory was the result of considerable deliberation. The Bishop of South Sudan's Umuahia Diocese has urged the nation's Christians to engage in acts of forgiveness and reconciliation in order to enjoy a joyous Christmas. Speaking on Monday, December the 19th, at the opening of the Christmas carols arranged in his episcopal see, Bishop Matthew Remigio stressed the importance of showing love and peace throughout the holiday season. During the ceremony, on the grounds of Auxilium Basic School, the bishop said, "For us to spend Christmas in gladness, we need to reconcile, forgive and have peace with one another. We should pray that this Christmas would encourage everyone to seek peace and harmony rather than hostility and indifference." The prelate, who is a Comboni missionary, underlined that to live with their brothers and sisters in peace and harmony, Christians must ask for forgiveness during the Christmas season. The United Nations Security Council has demanded that the military junta in Myanmar free all political prisoners, including former State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint. Several long-standing issues must be addressed, according to Resolution 2669 on Myanmar. The Council also expressed great concern at the ongoing state of emergency enforced by the military. Additionally, it urged for more humanitarian aid to be provided to victims of violence, with a focus on women, children and displaced peoples, such as the Rohingya. Under the military regime, Myanmar's freedoms and rights have drastically declined. The British-sponsored motion was approved on Wednesday with 12 votes in favour, no votes against and 3 abstentions, with those coming from China, India and Russia. In an initiative named 10,000 Christmases in One, the Archdiocese of Guadalajara in Mexico has partnered with the Jewish community to serve 40,000 Christmas dinners to the underprivileged on December the 25th. The 4th annual event will provide shelter and food from 40 churches to individuals in the Guadalajara metropolitan region who are most in need. According to Father Javier Magdaleno Cueva, Secretary-Chancellor of the Archdiocese of Guadalajara, the initiative aims to offer hope to individuals whose lives have been tough or who have suffered that year. This effort is expected to provide services to 40,000 people this year. The novelty, according to the priest, is not that they simply provide food, but that it is a sign of peace and cooperation in supporting each other. A Kentucky town ordinance that would have prohibited pro-life demonstrators from freely protesting outside an abortion clinic door has been overturned by an appeals court. On Wednesday, a 3-judge panel of the 6th Circuit of the United States Court of Appeals unanimously decided to award a preliminary injunction against a Louisville Jefferson County code that forbids protests in front of abortion facilities. The panel opinion written by Circuit Chief Judge Geoffrey Sutton, overturned a district court judgment against the pro-life campaigners and remanded the matter to the lower court. In May of last year, the Louisville Metro Council passed an ordinance in a vote of 14-11 that was aimed at allowing healthcare facilities, which was defined to include abortion clinics, to create buffer zones outside their entrances. This Christmas season, a record-breaking number of nativity scenes are on display in various US state capitals. Over 40 state capitals are displaying nativity scenes this Christmas. The Thomas More Society, a non-profit public interest legal firm, and the American Nativity Scene, an organisation that aims to put nativity scenes in each state capital across the nation, together carried out the unique endeavour. Reportedly for the first time, traditional nativity scenes will be displayed at Virginia, New York, Utah and Alaska state capitals. Tom Brecha, the President and Chief Counsel of the Thomas More Society, put forth the significance of putting on the nativity scenes, particularly given the current political climate. The legal team collaborates closely with American Nativity Scene to ensure that anyone wishing to sponsor a nativity scene can do so according to the law. Although the US Constitution protects the placing of nativity scenes on public property, local governments and atheists have frequently demanded the removal, threatening legal action. And those are your latest headlines. You can, as always, visit swnews.org for more updates. But for now, on behalf of everyone in the Shalom World News team, have a very holy and happy Christmas when it comes. Shalom.